Hi, my rays of light, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a reading that y'all have requested on the Suicide Forest. And I don't know how to pronounce this Japanese name, but I believe it's called青木ヶ原. I don't know. Maybe I pronounced it wrong. I don't know how to pronounce that, but viewer discretion is advised as I get into this reading for those of you that are sensitives or empaths, or maybe just not prepared for what I'm about to say. Now, I will say that I did this reading a little bit different. I am a clairvoyant and I am a medium, so I really don't need the assistance of oracle cards or tarot cards, but I decided to do it for this reading itself, in addition to the psychic impressions that I had pulled up. And this was so disconcerting because I pulled a lot of cards, but I'm going to only talk about some of the cards that I pulled and how I interpret them. Again, when I use the Rider-Waite, because that's what I use for this reading. I always interpret them with my intuition, not exactly how the meaning would come up. But for those of you that are not aware what the Suicide Forest is, this is a place in Japan near Mount Fuji, I believe, where a lot of people go and commit suicide. It has been known for many, many years that, and it's like rising, the suicide rates. This is like the land of despair. So immediately what I pulled up was the Tower in reverse, the Devil in reverse, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the Death card in reverse, the Lover's card in reverse, and Strength in reverse. To me, this never happens because I don't read really in reversals at all, but it was how the cards came out, and that's how I laid it down. And even I got the Ace of Wands in reverse. Everything was like in reverse, the majority of the cards. Now, there was a couple of cards that, like the High Priestess that was up and the Magician that was up. So I'm going to tell you exactly what all of this means, for those of you that are not aware of what like the tarot cards mean, or what they would mean to me doing this reading as a psychic medium. First of all, this place, I used an image here that I saw that I had someone ask, like, why are the trees all tangled up? Okay, this is one of the places, what I get from my spirit guides and what I got intuitively, this is one of the most haunted places in the world. This would be one of those that I spoke about in other videos where it would be almost like a portal to hell. This place is a place of desolation. It is the land of death. It is a collector of souls. There are people that may not even live in Japan, is what I heard, that may travel to Japan, to this forest, to commit suicide. It has this gravitational pull towards people that are vulnerable, or that have, are in a very pivotal time in their life. Like men that have been, that are gay and haven't been accepted, they would have, or women as well, they would have committed suicide in this forest. People that had a love relationship and are heartbroken would have gone to this forest or would go to this forest and commit suicide. People who have lost their jobs or are financially struggling, or they lost a family member and they're heartbroken, would go to this forest to commit suicide. People who lost their free will, that are maybe hooked on drugs, would come to this forest and commit suicide. Everything, when I pulled up the Tower card, to me that symbolizes like a home environment. When the home, your life, again, this is how I intuitively read it. In reverse, it's like everything is opposite. Usually when it's upright, to me the tarot card means that there's things going on that maybe like upcoming difficulties in your home or personal life. But when it's in reverse, you would think it's like the opposite of that. But for me in this reading in particular, and what I'm hearing from my spirit guides and seeing, is like it's all negative. Like when you talk about evil, sometimes like when you talk about demons, and specifically that they do things in reverse, it was so eerie, and I had chills here, and I had to say a prayer. Of course, I went in doing this reading before I got on here. I did, do a prayer and sage myself and everything else. But the fact that I got all these cards, because I asked my spirit guides to please show me through this tarot, the answers, because I can't fully rely on the tarot cards to give me the answers. I already know some things intuitively, but everything was like, the majority of these cards were in reverse. Death is in reverse. Like I said, I feel like there is the angel of death hangs around here. There are other beings in this forest that are like death. They are like a sub of death. Like, what I mean by a sub, but like a lower level than the angel of death or the collector, and they're called the collectors, and they are creatures that come and carry souls, basically take the souls that are either trapped here, earthbound, because most people that come to this forest and they commit suicide, they are going to stay earthbound. Some of them may decide, some souls may escape and go on to heaven or to the spiritual realm, but for the most part, this is a very negative thing. I see creatures that hang on the trees. These are like demons, basically. And I'm just getting all of this visually, like visions coming in from just a photograph that I'm getting. I hear sounds like screams, like moaning. Like, this is like purgatory in some ways. Like, this, if you're from the Catholic background or any kind of background that believes in purgatory, this would be the purgatorio in Spanish, or in English, the purgatory. Like, this would be kind of like that version of that here. But it goes further. Like, there's a lot of darkness here, a lot of gloom. It will pull even people that would, let's say, go just and I don't know if this is even open to people, but people that would want to like explore it and get permission or whatnot. I don't know how this works in Japan in this forest, but people that would go to it and not listen and try to sneak in, there's a possibility that if they don't commit suicide there and they're healthy and in their state of mind, that they're going to be ultimately bringing something back from that forest with them. And they leave, again, a piece of their energy. Anytime you go into a very haunted location like the suicide forest, you are essentially leaving a piece, an essence of yourself. This is any haunted location that's full of activity. You're leaving like your essence there. And what does that mean, essence, in layman's terms? Like, for those of you that are listening that may not understand, we all have an aura, right? An aura is like an energetic field around us. It protects us. It also shows, what our soul is like, what we're going through, like what it kind of like defines our talents, our characteristics, etc. It is not our soul really, but it's like a part of our energy. When we go to any place, even if it's work, that you go to on a regular job and you're there for a prolonged period of time, or you go there frequently, you're going to leave your energy there. It imprints in the air. It's like almost like taking your hands and putting them down on some paint, and you have your imprint there, or like on wet concrete, and you leave your foot, your fingers, your handprints there. That's kind of like what an imprint is in the energy, in the wall, the energetic wall that is all around this forest. Now, there was a famous YouTuber that went there not too long ago, and he got a lot of backlash. I'm not going to give names, but we know who he is, because he took pictures there, and he said something else. I don't know, it was like a joke, and then he later had to apologize. But whatever the situation is, like, I would not recommend anyone really to go to this place. I wouldn't even go, not even for like $1 million that they would pay me would I go. Not alone, certainly not alone. And if I would go, I would have to be like fasting and go through like a purification ritual and protection before I would even step foot in this place along with a group of people. Like, I would not go. I would have to go with like a group of psychics that are, different backgrounds, and witches that are very much well versed in the and protect it, because I feel like if you go alone into this kind of place, you are going to you're going to be affected, and you could possibly end up doing something to yourself or being involved in an accident later. Like, I don't know anyone that would be listening to this has had any paranormal experiences. Any of my Japan rays of light that my Japanese rays of light, or anyone that is from any other country that has traveled here. There are some people that I know that will be listening to this that maybe have traveled to Japan, but only those that have been there will know and can attest maybe to the energy of it. The trees feel like the trees basically are portals and vessels that contain the spirits of those that have committed suicide, that are trapped there earthbound. The souls are trapped into the trees and in the land itself, but the trees house the souls of the dead. So this is one of the reasons why these branches are kind of intertwined. It's almost like if you've ever seen those haunted movies, I don't know if it was like Maleficent, which was like more of a character movie, but you see those movies where you go through the forest and it comes alive, and these branches wrap around you and they drag you in, drag you back. That's kind of like why this is all twisted. It's like a web of darkness. The trees, as they collect souls of people that have committed suicide here, those souls become trapped in a new formation. That's what I'm hearing. I know that sounds kind of crazy. Some people may not believe it, but that's exactly what it has, and how it's there. The souls are like, the trees are like containers for the dead that have perished here. There's also creatures that hang around this forest that protect it. Like I said, they hang around the trees. They have like red eyes. Some of them have yellow, golden eyes. These would be older than... This would be like a region where like fallen angels would be housed in. It's crazy. Okay, so I also feel like there's some type of magical influence. There would have been a group of people back maybe 500, 600 years ago, maybe even further back. And again, this may be hard to believe. People that did rituals, people that still do rituals to this day. I don't know if they would be considered goth or witches or Satanists, but they have done rituals in the actual forest. They have unleashed creatures to the other side that are not demons necessarily, but they are like worse than demons, like devils, which is not like Satan. But the devils hang around this place, and this is Satan's playground. That's what I would call it. I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, but I'm well versed in the occult, and what Spirit is saying is that this is like the devil's playground. This is like his domain, and it's a perfect conduit to it. Like the forest feeds on your energy, and it feeds on the souls that have died, and they stay trapped and they cannot move on. Some of them do. Like I said, it depends what was the mindset, how they did it, and other factors. But this place, I feel like it protects itself, and I don't feel like it'll ever be destroyed unless the earth would be destroyed someday, which, eventually that will happen to the world, like millions of years from now. But until that happens, like, I don't know if this place, I feel like there's people that they want to, like, they want to cut the trees down. They want to kind of renovate. Like, I hear Spirit and I see visions of men, important people, like CEOs, like these companies that want to have acquisition or acquire this land and tear it down and build eventually like things over it. This is like bad. I pray that no one ever does that to this forest, because They wouldn't get far. Let me tell you, that's how haunted this place is. Like, let's say somebody would come in eventually with bulldozers and, like, lumberjacks with, those saws and stuff, and try to cut down these trees and basically excavate the land, to make it, into a commercial or industrial type of place. They will have their own hauntings, and they will end up running like little children out of the forest. But let's say in the scenario that they would achieve, that goal, they would be cursed. Like anyone that would come into this property, and this is not sacred land. This is not Native American land. This is, like I said, the devil's playground. People that would go to this place eventually, and they would try to do this, enforce it, they would have some kind of tragedy in their life and their family. They would be affected. Like the things that live here and that lurk in this forest are very intelligent, and they know how to get people and people's family. They know this forest knows your innermost secrets. It knows your fears, and this is what it does. It plays with the human psyche, the mind, and the fears, and it feeds on that, and it registers, and it holds on to that information. But you would end up like taking something back with you. It would come on. Like, there's so many spirits, so many souls. There's also something here on some souls that have passed that were very dark when they were living. They have become these demonic type of beings, basically. Essentially, this is what they have become. And they're here on this property, like I said. And I could go on for hours and do like a whole like hour, 2 hour long video on the things that I see, but I would kind of be repeating myself over and over. But essentially, like, this whole vast land, forest, etc., is evil. It's evil, and it is a place of entrapment. It is the devil's playground. The devil is behind all of this. I know that I may sound like a religious fanatic, or people may not agree because, why is Psychic Medium Ray talking about the devil? Well, because when I did this reading, I already knew Spirit was talking about that this was what it was. And definitely this is what I saw. I mean, that's the card that I pulled, the devil card. Typically when I pull, when you pull the devil card in tarot readings, it's like the opposite of the Lovers card. It really is not demonic in nature, even though it is the devil card. It doesn't have that connotation. It depends on the circumstances. It's like if I would have gotten, maybe the devil card and then the sun card in the major arcana. These are major arcana cards. And I would have gotten, like other positive cards, and they wouldn't have been in reverse. I would have thought something a little bit different. But the way that I'm interpreting it, the way that I'm seeing it intuitively and hearing from my spirit guides and the visions that I've seen and the things that, I heard, it is a place of purgatory. It is a place of hell. It's like, this is like the version of hell on earth. Sure, it looks green. You're like, maybe like you look at it and you're like, oh, you're lying. It's beautiful. It's a place where people go and they can camp and blah, blah, blah. No. Don't be deceived by the actual visuals that you see of this forest. And just looking at the picture, it makes me anxious. I'm covered in goosebumps, and that's rare for any place, So again, the way that it looks here, don't be deceived. It is way darker than you could even ever imagine. And again, this is my psychic reading on the Suicide Forest. For those of you that were, maybe wanting to know about it, why? Could it ever be cleansed? Could it ever, change? No. This is one of these places that until the world basically ends or is destroyed, it's going to stay like this. And why would God, why would the universe, the divine, the the higher power allow this place to be like this. If there's, good people in the world. Basically, to answer that question is that there are other places in the world just like this, if not worse. But I want to say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not so bad and 10 being the worst, this is the worst. Like, this is the one. I would say I would rate it like between 8 and 10, 8 or 9. Like, it is up there on that scale of very haunted, very dark places to go to. And like I said, it just looks beautiful from the outside. People would see this or like, it's a greenery, it's just a forest, you're fear-based, blah blah blah. But no, this is what I see, this is what I hear. And I would, like I said, I would not go alone if I would ever have to investigate it. I don't know, like, I would have to think about it if I even would want to, because I feel like even if you were the strongest person and very protected, you would still be affected. So my initial answer is no, not even for money. No. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you did like this video, please smash the like button, share it. If you know people, send it to them so they can look at it. This is Ghosttober, and I will be doing some other readings, like I said, for you, like in this this nature, that are like places. If you have suggestions of places or locations that you want me to do a psychic reading on, please comment in the comment section below. Blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day or night wherever you are in the world. Thank you.